We have an Aries ingress coming up on March the 19th, which is when the sun goes into the sign of Aries and begins the astrological new year. This is a mix of the good, the bad, and the magical. And I want to share with you how that might impact you based on your sun sign, moon sign, but most accurately rising sign. It literally is like a timestamp from the sky, like a snapshot of the heavens on March the 19th. That indicate the major themes that we all collectively and individually will experience from one spring vernal equinox to the next. All right, so because you see the Western tropical zodiac, unlike sidereal astrology, is a symbolic zodiac based on the seasons, the equinoxes, and the solstices. So get ready to hear about how this might impact the world and might impact you as well. We're going to be looking at that in great detail over the next hour and a half because we're going through every single sign. Before we do all signs, we're going to do the mundane astrology, which is how it might impact world events, particularly politics, leaders, and wars. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian, and I'm using the Western tropical zodiac, and I'm masterfully in love with fixed stars and minor asteroids. If you like that kind of stuff, I put out 40 videos a month. I'm in the live premieres for them. Just join my channel, give me a try, hit that subscribe button, click it, and give me a shot. What else can I tell you? My Sky Reader class is coming up in April, in the middle of the month of April. We're starting for 6 weeks. Live classes, replays available. A house in my teaching site forever. You have access to the content. Even if you can't attend, you always can keep the content. A weekly live Q&A for different time zones. We move it around. And also we have a Facebook group where your homework is checked by me and my assistant. And we're basically trying to keep a high touch engagement going. So if you're interested in that kind of a learning environment, then please come join me in April. It's the tuition enrollment has not yet opened, but you can see in the description box under the video, click the more button, that you can get on the list of this, like a wait list, early bird access discount kind of vibe. And then when the cart opens for tuition enrollment, then you'll be right on top of it. I do cap how many people can take this class. And so if you want to join us and want to get into the class, please put your name on the list. It's to be your own astrologer and time your best life. Okay, guys. Now, I haven't yet done, I'm recording this on March the 15th for my Patreon community. I have yet to do a video at this point for the Libra eclipse on March 25th about world events. That's coming out sometime in the week ahead. Look for that. There'll be a little bit of overlap with today's video, but I also would say to you that if you want to learn a bit about how that Libra South Node eclipse at 5 degrees on March the 25th impacts you personally, my video for the all signs is already out. So just go find it on my channel. It's also going to be under the big 2024 transits playlist on my channel as well. So Aries ingress, there's a part of the sky that is called the 0 point Aries. Often like 0 point Aries, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, Capricorn, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, 0 points are the points where we experience the winter solstices and the fall and the spring equinox. And they represent like the wheel of fortune turning and critically changing reality as destiny and the fates, the Norns are weaving, like, the spinners of fate are weaving our fates, and the wheel of destiny is turning. So these critical angles, right? Aries and Libra 0 and Cancer and Capricorn 0 are representational of the changing of the light, because in the Northern Hemisphere and astrology in the ancient tradition of Hellenistic astrology, Babylonian, Persian, this is actually astrology, Mesopotamian, that is based on the Northern Hemisphere cosmology. Just keep that in mind. So in essence, in the winter time, it's going to be the least light in the day, and the turning point between the light is getting to its darkest point, which is the winter solstice, and begins to create more light, is between the winter solstice in December and the spring or vernal equinox. This year it's on March the 19th. It's usually around March 19th and 20th. And this is where now that light that was so dark, we had so little light during that winter, starting on the equinox, winter solstice, the light is now growing and growing and growing and growing. When we get to the equinox, vernal equinox or spring equinox, we are now at the point where the light is about equal. The days are as long as they are dark. And between the equinox which is this time, March the 19th, the vernal or spring equinox, and the summer solstice, the light begins to dominate, and we get more and more and more and more and more light until the summer solstice, which is happening around every year around June the 20th, 19th, 20th. So we can see that this is a seasonal story, and that it has to do with how much light and dark balance exist in our reality. When we go between the highest, longest days of the summer at the summer solstice, we begin to wane into the darker, longer days, shorter days, and more night, more darkness as we approach the fall, right? We have the fall equinox. So keep this symbolic sky in mind. So all of us, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, we're called the cardinal signs. I have planets in Aries, Sun, and Moon, and we are about the seasons and the turning of light and dark. If you want to think of this as Star Wars and, the battle between the light and the dark, then you can actually say that the symbolic Western tropical zodiac, it's not a mistake. It's not like, oh, the astronomers back in the day didn't have a clue what they were doing. There's two kinds of astrology. I need to do a longer video on this, but just keep that in mind. Sidereal, real-time sky. It's the sky as it hitches to the stars, and it represents the real astronomical sky at the time we're living in. Whereas the Western tropical zodiac is a symbolic sky connected to the seasons, and it was created about a couple thousand years ago. So what were the mystic astrologer sky readers thinking back then when they wanted to enact a symbolic sky that we use today in Western tropical zodiac? If you have any ideas about that, if you're a mystic or you're into the idea of why we have a active symbolic sky that works predictively, one thing it makes me know, this is a matrix. We're in a simulation. There's no way a symbolic sky can have predictive accuracy unless this is some simulation that we're all in. That's my humble opinion. Now, let's get talking about the sky for the world. I'm going to show it to you. We're going to look at when you do a solar return. I think you guys know what a solar return is. It's your birthday chart. When the sun returns to its astronomical position in the sky by degree, right? By degree when you were born. It's always going to be the same sign. Then you cast a chart called the solar revolution or solar return, and it gives you a snapshot of the themes of the age of that birthday. So we call it the birthday chart. This is the birthday of the world. On March the 19th this year, we have a world birthday in astronomical, astrological, Western tropical way of looking at it. You are a part of that. You have to be a part of that because you're here, right? It's not just for the world because the world is a big place, but because it's a birthday chart of a seasonal nature for the world, the astrological birthday, you cast a chart for Washington, D.C. or Tel Aviv, Israel, or, Moscow, Russia, and you can get the gist or the city you live in of the themes of that locale and that country, right? That country and that locale. For like England, it'd be a GMT chart, right? Greenwich Mean Time. So you can do these for individual places. And a lot of astrologers use this predictively. Second of all, the Ingress chart, when the sun moves into zero Aries, is also a big story. It takes 1 year or 4 seasons to unfold. But then you cast these little mini charts for each season that are embedded within this chart, like nested Russian dolls of prediction. So we have the world chart, I'm going to show you in a minute, and then you could go on the summer solstice and cast a new chart. They go summer solstice to fall equinox, and then another one, fall equinox to the winter solstice, and the winter solstice back to here. So in astrology, when we do mundane astrology, which I do a bit of, or world astrology, there's always a desire to cast the little quarters, the quarter charts, as well as, of course, the main one under which all of it is embedded. Hope that's not too much detail. Hope you guys are loving that because I hope some of you are like me, absolutely in love with astrology. So we're going to look at the chart for Washington, D.C. and then for Tel Aviv, Israel, just to see the differences in those countries' charts. In the beginning of this video, this is your mundane astrology portion. We'll be done this section within, at the most, I hope, half an hour. And then after that, you listen for your rising sign, most accurate, sun and moon secondarily. Okay, sun can be about father figures and career and purpose and deeper soul level stuff, your essential nature. The moon is about your mind, your body, the world at large, the material realm, things to do with your home, nest and safety, and mother figures. And then the rising sign is you at the steering wheel of your life. It's everything about you as you pivot and pilot your life, or you think you do anyway. And that's so it's the character you're playing or embodying in the game of life. Now, let's get rolling and let me show you the charts, okay? Now, my Patreon community is getting this content like March 15th, 16th, early access, ad-free. If that kind of content, early access, ad-free content interests you, please try me out for $5 a month. With a $5 a month tier, you also get a monthly Zoom meeting with me in a group setting, plus replays and all that are available. Plus, I'm giving away 2 free courses. So if you want to join my Patreon community, you get Synastry, the Key to Are You My Person Synastry Relationship course, and the Chiron Key to Purpose classes. I taught those already. These are the replays. The value is $66 for free. Try it. Try me out. You don't like me, you can leave, right? And keep the gifts. Okay, so here is the chart. I'm set. This is set for Israel. I meant to start with the United States, but I'm here anyway, so we'll stay with Israel for a minute, and then we'll move into the United States. I know why we're talking about the nation of Israel, because there's a war, if you haven't noticed, and so it's kind of top of mind, right? Top of mind. And so I'm recording again on March 15th. So anything I say, beware the Ides of March, right? Anything I say here, it may be stale dated by the time you get this video, which will be Sunday, March the 17th. So baking into this energy of the nation of Israel's chart is the following themes for the next April to April timeframe. Israel natally, by the way, is a Libra rising, and it was the eclipses on the Libra South Node eclipses on Israel's ascendant in October, plus Mars with the South Node and Venus there as well, that created the conflict, or didn't create it. This is not planets make things happen, but reflected the likelihood of big Arab world / Israel conflict emerging. Every time there are eclipses, South Node eclipses to Israel's ascendant, historically, there have been major conflicts in the Middle East with Israel and its neighbors. So yeah, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. All right, now here we have the sky, and it looks like Israel's adopting this archetypal energy in the identity of the nation of Pisces. While it is Libra, about justice, balance, and fairness, peace and war, and lack of balance in those things, this time the nation of Israel in the equinox, vernal equinox, Aries ingress chart, there's the sun at 0 degrees of Aries, real like 5:56 a.m. on March the 20th in Israel, depends on where you live. It's the 19th in North America. This chart shows them acting as if they are Piscean. What is that? Mystic poets of the zodiac? Sure, but maybe preoccupied with water. What do you mean by water? Pisces is the ocean. Sea god Neptune is here. And what other water things do we have to deal with? Well, it may be dealing with water rights. It may be war and water. It may be having to do with things to do with wells and water. It may have to do with things to do with the war at sea, the Red Sea and Houthi. It may be the final announcement they're going to build the Ben Gurion Canal and slice it through northern Gaza, which is what they wanted to do. And now they can do it because they've built a road through the middle of Gaza so that people can't return to the north. And so they wanted to slice the Ben Gurion Canal. Major project will bring great wealth, rival the Suez Canal. Planned and said they were going to enact it in June of 2021 or 3. And this canal, like the Suez, will bring in $5 billion of revenue a year, and they need the northern strip of Gaza in order to finish it. No, I didn't make this up. This is not me making this up. This is actually fact. Okay, this is fact. And so it's just convenient right now that they have possession of northern Gaza. So water, they're concerned. Israel is concerned with the issues to do with ocean seabeds and water for some reason. Maybe oil, gas fields off of Gaza that they don't have possession of, but take possession of. Well, just making stuff up. It's water. Israel's thinking about water. Now, the nation of Israel is wounded, perhaps, and trying to heal because Hygeia is on the identity of the nation of Israel. In degree theory, 18 degrees is a deeply malefic and difficult degree. I'm not going to go into much detail about that. I'm not an expert, but the 18th degree is considered one of great hardship. We also can see that Neptune is here. Neptune is religious nuttery. I'm just going to say, like, don't drink the Kool-Aid, Jim Jones in its darkest condition. It can be a kind of zealotry. What was that thing? Oh my God, my brain. Religious. No, like religious zealotry is the word I want, but like the Inquisition, out there to go with it, like convert the masses to your religion. But I mean, Israel doesn't convert the masses, but the quality of Neptune in shadow can be that religious zealotry or spiritual righteousness that can be intense. And it's interestingly on the ascendant of the nation of Israel. Saturn is here, and so is Venus. Now, technically, this is behind the ascendant. See, like the ascendant is like looking forward in zodiacal order, and behind Israel, in the rearview mirror, in the recent past, they've had hardship, Saturn at water, and Venus. Now, Venus here is exalted, but you could say hardship to do with the highest Venusian values of in exaltation in Pisces, love, peace, unconditional love, connecting to the divine, and there's been hardship there as well. We can make that argument. Because the nation of Israel is a Libra rising and Venus is its actual lord of its sign, this is kind of looking in the rearview mirror. Venus is looking like she's been in a difficult spot. Now, there's something here that the whole world is experiencing around March 19th and 20th, and that's called a besiegement. Venus is wedged between two malefics. This is a difficult, critically difficult place. I mean, she's like the goddess of all things good and beautiful and kind and loving and pleasurable and enjoyable. And all of a sudden, she's wedged in between malefic Mars and malefic Saturn and approaching Saturn. So the energy of that is always considered in traditional astrology. Venus is under great debility here. She's really like besieged, right? She's wedged between two dark forces. So that also suggests in the rearview mirror for Israel this sense of this benefic planet being in a condition of great hardship. And Venus rules peace and hardship behind them. Peace is besieged. Let's say peace has been besieged behind them. And now, when Israel's national ascendant, it was born, right, as a 1948 country with a Libra ascendant, that ascendant is stuck in the 8th house for the nation of Israel on the Ingress chart, which is not positive. The 8th house can be a place for a nation, economic hardship with the South Node, and also maybe just the idea of death itself. So there's economic hardship with the South Node in the Ingress chart for Israel in terms of the markets, the larger financial systems of the nation, the banking system, etc. And having the South Node there, Israel's identifying with challenges in its economic or financial systems, perhaps, just perhaps, because it's desperately South Node wanting to increase its money, income, and revenue, and all of that. The second house in the Ingress chart can be very much about that financial structures, and the nodes of fate are giving that a lot of attention for Israel in the year ahead. But you'll notice as well that this is the opponents or open enemies of the nation of Israel, because its identity is Libra, its enemies are the Aries part of its natal sky. Israel seems to be looking squarely at the challenges, wounds that its enemies have brought it financially. The wound is here. There's Mercury, there's the North Node, it's inflammation of the wound. Certainly the house of speech, the voice of a country is the second house. Mercury wound, a wounded voice in the world, a wounded speech in the world, that kind of thing. It is interesting that the midheaven is Sagittarius, that the country is being ruled by a Sag midheaven archetype. This is the goddess of strategy and victory and courage and war. Netanyahu as an ascendant in the sign of Sagittarius. Joe Biden has ascendant in the sign of Sagittarius. The USA has its ascendant in the sign of Sagittarius. Therefore, this can suggest that the United States, Biden and or Netanyahu are firmly in charge or in control of what is happening in the nation of Israel from this April to next April. I mean, this March to next March. Sorry, from spring to spring. Now, in the nation of Israel's natal chart, right, when it was born, so to speak, Capricorn is its 4th house of home and homeland. This is Capricorn, and the asteroid America is embedded in home and homeland in a place in the sky, the 11th house. It confers great favor. And so it puts the United States still firmly in the house of allies for the nation of Israel with the asteroid America in this spot. Ceres is agriculture, land, and growing. Partly, though, with the asteroid America here, I have some thoughts, and they're just thoughts, I could be wrong, that in the asteroid America square to the chironic wound, that in fact, even while their ally is still America, Ceres is severing or cutting some of that favor, and the wound is here. A lot will depend on the election year. Obviously, it will, because the election year will tell us who is in charge of the nation of America, Joe Biden, I doubt it. I don't think he'll make it to the election, or Donald Trump. Now, whenever you see in general the moon in Leo, we think of leaders, kings, royals, people in great positions of power. And this is one of those years, 2024, we have more world elections than ever. It happens to be an historically hyper-loaded election year. 100 and something elections are taking place worldwide. So leaders and people in power is a focal point with a moon in Leo. In a Ingress chart, you tend to want to say, what does the moon say about the tonal quality of the year in the material sublunar sphere of the body and the mind of the people, the individual people, you and me, the masses, and in this case, moon in Leo, world leaders. Huge focus on world leaders. For Israel, the masses, the people of the country are in a position of hardship because the sixth house is the gates of Hades. It's considered a place of difficulty. Sure, it can also be the economics and the workforce of a nation. And if that's the economic sixth house and workforce and labor markets of a nation, in opposition to Pluto, there is a great deal of challenge in the nation of Israel for its people economically, in the labor markets, and in the structures of economic success. That looks like Israel's going through a big financial crisis in 2024, to my humble opinion. Finally, will there be peace in the Middle East? Finally, will this horrendous, catastrophic, unimaginable war come to a close? Absolutely. I do think it will, because the nation of Israel has a goddess of agreements, Juno, committed marriage agreements, committed business agreements, but often I see Juno acting almost like treaty maker, right? We agree to this union. I take you as my spouse, my lovely, the marital vows are in the house of marriage. What vows, what agreements are being made in this year, March to March, for Israel in this astrological year? So there is the definite need here for a peace treaty, as we could all ceasefire is the least of it. The end of this catastrophic situation with a two-state solution that all the world agrees on. All the world agrees on. So except for Israel. So we can see something's trying to happen here. Mercury rules this Juno, right? And Mercury will try to say something about it. He is in a house of economics and money. So maybe just by virtue of needing for an economic solution to hardship, there will be some concessions made by Israel and its opponents. Finally, also in Israel's natal chart, and this Virgo part of the sky, right? For the nation of Israel, because it's a Libra rising. This is the 12th house of backroom deals and negotiations. And therefore, what we may see is how this peace comes about is through some kind of backroom deals and negotiations, maybe brokered by players like in the Arab world, brokering a peace deal. This probably would mean, because of the asteroid America flowing to this part of the sky, America, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, who, by the way, threatened to pull the plug on any cooperation with Israel if they didn't get a ceasefire going yesterday already. That happened this last week. So our humanitarian aid and a ceasefire. So there's a lot of discontent rumbling through the Arab world about the situation in Gaza, Israel. And this looks like the backroom deals and negotiations are happening here. You can sometimes time this kind of chart. It works most of the time. And then I'm not going to explain it to you here, but should I use a timing tool for this chart? When would this piece come? When would it arrive? It will arrive. Get ready. Let me do my math. In the month of August, not before then. The backroom deals, negotiations, and peace. I don't mean temporary ceasefires. I don't even mean hostage exchanges and ceasefires. I'm talking about a real on the table legal peace treaty agreement and end of story. That looks like the month of August, according to this chart. I have to look at many other charts to make that a clear yes, but that's what I'm seeing here. Anytime I see Pluto involved, I think plutonium, I think bombs, I think nuclear stuff. The whole world's dealing with that this year. I know that there's a lot of speculation that Russia's going to go off the rails. I don't know that we're going to have a nuclear event. I'm not suggesting that. But the moon in the house of leaders and the people as well in this weird year. People are focused. The people are focused on leaders, electing leaders, focused on what to do with leaders. Of course, the moon in Leo could also indicate a female leader coming to prominence, but it's a Pluto opposition that has that intensity on it. We had a similar vibe in the 2022 Aries Ingress chart as well. And we'll be talking that when I get to the America chart. So that's enough of that. I'm done now with Israel. I could say a lot more, but I want to just talk about the United States, and then we're going to do all signs. I hope this isn't boring. I hope some of you like mundane astrology. I took a poll and asked people if I should start a new channel for mundane astrology. The vast majority, you said, no, keep this format. There are timestamps and chapters that synchronize within a couple of hours of the live premiere that allow you to jump ahead to your sign without having to go through this entire front end introduction. This is the chart on March the 19th at 11:24 p.m. in Washington, D.C., when the sun is going into the 0 Aries point, right here. This is a chart that tells us some of the themes in the United States of America. Okay, so number one, back in 2022, the Aries ingress involved a lot of damage with Venus. She was also in a besiegement in Aquarius. Venus rules women's rights, okay? And the moon Pluto is reproductive rights. And so let's go back to, 2022 spring to 23, and that was the whole struck down Supreme Court ruling on Roe versus Wade. One state now in the United States I hear is like going to or has outlawed IVF, maybe declaring an embryo a person. So there's going to be more of this energy around women and women's rights that comes into the narrative, especially around reproduction and reproductive health and fertility. Expect that to really hit the mark again. But because Roe versus Wade was overturned already, what's next is still in play. It's big news stories in the USA of America. So here's that besiegement. Venus is in the 5th house and whole sign houses of fertility, of pregnancy, of children, of childbirth. Venus is suggesting in the United States of America in 2024 major battles over those themes of reproduction and women's health in the USA legal system. Especially medicalized stuff, because here's Hygeia, which can represent things like reproductive IVF treatments and ways to create fertility or to store embryos and all of that. This is going to be huge in the USA over the next 12 months from this March equinox. Now, other things I'm seeing, the United States is adopting or holding space as if it's scorpionic. Now, the United States is not scorpionic, it's a Sagittarius rising in the Sibley chart from the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And therefore, the United States is kind of that big Labrador puppy full of boisterousness, the world's my oyster, adventure, ho, 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 faith, hope, and optimism, spiritual faith. That's Sagittarius, take aim. Sag is a war sign. People don't know that, but it's also the archer with a bow. Traditionally, it can involve war, just as can Aries. So the United States likes to aim its bow. It has hegemony. It's disrupted many different nations by having regime change actions done by the CIA. That is very scorpionic, but that's also very Sagittarius, right? Taking aim, being very pinpoint, bullseye accurate in how you want to position yourself militarily by taking out leaders, either by, assassinations or by regime change tactics and stuff like that. But if the United States is adopting a Scorpio ascendant, it's very secretive. The US is in a mode of high secrecy. This can be a lot of intelligence players, CIA, NSA, really prominent in the storyline of the United States over the course of the next year. Also stealth, secret stealth, right? The United States is adopting that kind of archetypal energy. United States as well is looking at its open enemies, right, as an ascendant in Scorpio, open enemies and adversaries in an interesting light. It's Jupiter over there with Uranus. There may be some shock and awe, some big surprises for the USA about who their enemies actually are. There may be a sense of you took your eye off the ball and you weren't paying any attention, and all of a sudden you realize you were so focused on Ukraine and that particular proxy war, or what's going on in the Middle East, that you took your eye off the ball and were taken by surprise by some other unfriendly foe. Some foe, all foes are unfriendly, some unexpected foe. That's one way of looking at it. I don't want to think it's all about war, but it can look that way for sure. In the Sibley chart with the Sag rising, This is the United States, ascendant at 12 degrees, and it's blindsided by this. It can't witness it, can't see it. And it represents in the United States the sixth house of the workforce. So we shall see what that looks like. In the United States chart, you see that there is a midheaven with Juno. Juno is just about that partnership agreements and, contracts, especially marriage contracts, but that because we consider traditional marriage to be male and female, I understand, I don't think that today, but that's how it used to be looked at. And I still think that the archetype of masculine and feminine can be found in two men or two women together, that there is probably this chart suggesting a female vice president. All right, that's what I'm saying. Or a female president and a male vice president. I'm just guessing, but it feels that way when I look at it. Okay, that's what I'm getting from that. And the moon, right, the people are super hyper focused on leadership. 10th house in a mundane astrology is the government and power. And in mundane astrology, the fourth house, which in the United States, by the way, the fourth house is Pisces and the 10th house is Virgo. The fourth house represents the people who would uproot and take over like a coup, or like the party that's not in rulership, or the parties who are opposed to the rulership. So usually that's if the Democrats are in power, the Republicans represent the fourth house. So in the United States chart on its own, just separately, right? The oppositional party to the ruling party are the Republicans. These are the Republicans. Look what they've got going in the United States. They got Venus besieged. Uh-oh, Nikki Haley, she didn't make it, right? But Venus is besieged between malefics, fog, confusion, illusion, and delusion. But it's still independently, without the besiegement, a Venus Saturn archetype. And Saturn can represent structure and form and mastery as well as authority. And Venus can represent an exalted female. Very likely there's going to be an exalted female running in for office with Trump, even though people think he's a misogynist. I think he has a good sense if he's going to prevail. And unfortunately, with his zodiacal releasing, he probably will, to pick a female to get the female vote. Okay, end of story. Also, in this chart, a moon in the 10th house of the Ingress shows a female in power. That's what it shows. So there is a female, either president or vice president, in power. Okay, you say Kamala Harris, and that could be true. If Joe Biden steps away for health reasons and Kamala is taking his position, she may be the running incumbent for the election, and therefore she may be in power. So this is possible. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I need to do my election astrology 2-hour video that'll be coming up this year. The party in opposition to the ruling party, which are the Republicans in the solar ingress chart to Aries ingress, is Pluto Mars. Now, Pluto Mars energy in the fourth house. Pluto is power, especially in the fourth house, which is the darkest of the night, but things that are under the surface. So Pluto is power. There is some power for the opposing party to the Republican Party has some power. I know you're going to ask me about third candidate people like RFK has a name. Yeah, I'll look at him in my election chart, but there's some power down here. And this power is also connected to Mars, and Mars is also about military might, and Pluto Mars is commander-in-chief in military might. So there is a possibility that there's strength in the Republican Party, despite the fact that there is a besiegement here in the sign of the oppositional party to Joe Biden. One thing I don't like about this chart for the Biden administration is that Mercury is the ruler of this midheaven, and Mercury is out of sight in an aversion and with the wounded one. And it may be that the current ruling party is going to experience a deep wound of some sort. Maybe just a wound of a loss of the vote, because the people en masse who are the daily workers of society belong to the sixth house, and they are sort of sitting here with a wound, right? There's a wound here. The wound. This is an asteroid for homecoming. I put it here because it's a yearning to return to one's true home, the migratory birds. And I'm going to do a deeper dive into that for the election charts. But it's just like, where are the people feeling like there's a deeper wound connected to returning to one's true home in the United States? I'm not sure. That kind of, is something to be debated about. because the Israeli situation, there's Israel's ascendant right here, and the people of the United States in the calendar year of the spring equinox to spring equinox are looking at each other as if it's an open enemy. It's as if you could say that we, the people of the United States, are highly disapproving of Israel's direction in this chart. Now, it is true, if you take a poll, that 6 or 7 out of 10 Americans want this to stop yesterday, this bombardment of Gaza. And so the average Joe walking on the street is not improving. And, young people, the TikTok crew, are really, really angry. Young millennials are really angry. And so the young vote and the Arab vote have been lost to the Biden administration. Honestly, it's like he's trying to throw the election. So we can see that, I think, unfortunately, just almost by the weakness of Joe Biden, Trump may prevail. Let's call it that. I am not Biden pro or Trump pro. I'm neither. I don't like either. And I'm also Canadian. So those are some thoughts about the election. Do you see anything here in the comments? Let me know what I'm missing. What are you noting that I may not be observing? All right. Anything else I'd like to say about that? Sometimes with a wounded Mercury, it's propaganda. Inflammation of propaganda is running through the sky for the entire freaking world, not just for the United States. We already know that propaganda has become something that's been so inflated now, and that, second of all, censorship is also on the rise. And so there's like that, 1984 Orwellian truth speak in place right now, unfortunately. And throughout this chart, throughout the world, we're dealing with a square between Mars and Uranus that's baked in, and that's often to do with shock and awe and war, shock and awe and weapons, shock and awe and attacks. Okay, yeah, cheerful as it is. So let's take a look at that. Mars at 27 degrees of Aquarius in a broad square to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. That energy will be embedded within the energy field of the world over the course of March of this year, 24 to 25. And although Mars has moved past his direct contact with Uranus, it doesn't mean it's any less real. It's still there. It's an undergirding, underpinning of sudden attack, shocking attack. Now, I'm going to finish with a dream I had, and I'm only going to put it here for those of you who like prophecy. When the trade towers went down, I dreamt about the trade towers shaking. I was running down the stairs, escaping. I used to live near the trade towers in New York City, and I thought it was a metaphor for the shaky stock market. No, it was 6 months before the trade towers went down. I had a premonition. I had a dream about an avalanche in Italy, and I was with the skiers, and I was buried with the avalanche. The day after my dream, there was a massive avalanche in Italy, and people were indeed buried. I dream about world events as if I'm in them. And I had a dream recently, a couple of them. One was a tidal wave, and I was in the tidal wave. All right. Another one was a massive plane crash dream, but the other one is the stories for the next year. Is I had a dream about being offshore of the United States eastern seaboard, on the Chesapeake Bay, where I used to live, and there were weapons being fired from the eastern seaboard off the water into the United States from an enemy nation. Now, only way I can imagine, any way I can imagine that happening is a submarine, and how a submarine could actually make it through those waters and not be detected seems impossible. My sense in the dream that this was going to happen was in the fall of this year. I'm just sharing. I'm not trying to scare you in America. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to make a big case for it, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised with this baked in shock and awe energy that this would be, unfortunately, very much what Pluto, Moon opposition, Mars square Uranus could look like. Don't forget, the United States is blindsided by some opponent connected to this Mars square Uranus. And I don't know what it is. We go into the future to find the future. It waits for us there. In some ways, it's already happened. We only imagine that future is linear. So can we change the future? Probably not. My own mom was hit by a car, and I had a dream about someone close to me dying in an accident the day before she was killed, and I couldn't stop it because I didn't know who it was about. All I can say is this looks like the United States gets blindsided by some kind of shock and awe opponent connected to weaponry and attack. When, how, where, I don't know. If I was to time this, I'd say using one of the tools you can use for this kind of timing. There's multiple, and I'm not going to explain it to you. This could be something like, it could be April. It could be April. . or it can be January of 2025. So it can be April. Let me give you 3 time frames that this is possible. April, October, and January of 25. I put my bet on October. In the month of October, in the solar ingress chart, the United States is ruled by Mars. Mars is got Pluto next in co-present with him, and he's shooting off some kind of surprise attack energy, or some surprise attack is happening in the home and homeland of the ingress chart from some opponent that is, you know, coming out of the blue, or something like out of the blue. The United States stock markets and all of that, people are concerned, I'm sure. This is the USA, sort of in the ingress chart, you know, markets, finance, banking, Wall Street stuff. There's a fire here, there's a flame being tended, but there's also a wound with Mercury on the chironic wound here. So there's something like the economic indicators aren't great, but you got a big lighter in the United States trying to fire up greater success. If there's any kind of downdraft, it's likely going to happen in the US markets, stock markets, broad general markets. It's probably going to happen in the month of May. Okay. Well, we'll see some downturns in those markets, particularly maybe the very end of May. Because at the end of May, there's a sense of constriction. Let's say about May the 10th through to the end of May, look for potential turbulence and downdraft in US stock markets at large, because of fundamental economic indicators perhaps being not what was expected, perhaps, or something like that. If you think about the word inflation, that would be inflation would be a Rahu energy. Mercury is the markets, but also commerce and money. And inflationary energies could be the wound. And although inflation is supposedly tamped down, there's a huge gap between the markets and the economy and the average person, and the standard of life and the standard, you know, the standard of life that people are actually living on the daily versus what the markets indicate is likely, you know, probably a lot of zombie companies out there. Okay, enough of that. That's probably an hour-long intro. So we're going to do the all signs. I should have put a pin to the beginning. Jump ahead if you want to get to your sign. I'm going to cover how the solar ingress of March the 19th bakes in a story for each single sign. I'm going to highlight what comes to me. I can't cover every bit. So every sign will have a little bit of a different spin, but you can use it as sort of like a guidepost for your next 12 months ahead from this March's spring equinox. Hey, thanks everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thanks you to all my regulars. If you were in the premiere, I forgot to say hit the like button, but don't worry, this video continues. I'm stopping recording on March the 15th. I'll be finishing my recording tomorrow on the 16th, and this will be a longer video. So ciao, ciao. Okay, guys, over the next half hour to 40 minutes at max, we're going to do part 2 of this video, and we're going to go through each separate sign to talk about how the solar ingress of the spring equinox on March 19th impacts you as a snapshot of some of the major things to consider as relevant to the year ahead. March of 24 to 25. I'm going to highlight on the specific elements that the sun is most active with on the ingress, not every single planet. That would be too much work, too long. So let's get going and talk about this for each sign. Your rising sign most accurate, sun about career and purpose, moon about mother figures, home, safety, body, material world stuff, mind, etc. Okay, so that's why we use your rising sign as most accurate. So let's start off with the Aries people. Hey, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. What you got going on here is you have the ingress of the sun on March the 19th, actually, except for the 20th, but trust me, it's the 19th. And it's going to open up a doorway around a big energy field of change that you will experience about self. Why? Because this is where the North Node is. And the North Node has not been here for Aries ingresses since 1994, 95, 96. And so this is new energy for you. You're going to look at this as a time in which you're trying to grow a bigger footprint for who you really are in this world, and to discover a larger, expanded sense of what you want and what you desire. in your own personal identity as a mind, body, spirit complex, playing the game of life. So it's a lot of that coming into a deeper sense of self-love and purpose with Chiron here, as well as being able to communicate or ideate or think about Mercury, how that new sense of self on purpose. Okay, let's call it, for all you Aries, it's a year of the self on purpose. Okay, on true purpose, calling for you in 2024-5 solar year. You want to come home. The migratory birds yearning for their home. You want to come home to that sense of self. And you're looking and yearning for that true homecoming to who you really are in purposeful self. However, at the same time, you might notice that you have a need to take energy away from focus on clients, audience, marketplace, and significant relationships in order to do that. We can see chaos, which I did not address in my longer video. It's sitting with the asteroid chaos at 0 degrees, is sitting exactly square the sun. Therefore, that bakes in a sense of some instability, unpredictability, or chaotic elements in your home, or regarding homeland, property, and real estate, or regarding a relationship to a mother or mother figure. At the same time, this year also opens up a doorway for some significant change in your friendship circles, because Mars is the lord of the house of the solar ingress, and he's in the house of larger groups of belonging. You may change your social networks up profoundly as you introduce more authentically powerful people to your social groups, but some friends may exit stage left, unfortunately, because of death. Yes, people do pass away. And you may also make a change of direction around your long-range goals and plans for your life, and the earning structures and the way you make the gains and rewards from your career. Those are up for grabs. The solar flow to the moon brings you greater joy, fun, play, and pleasure, and focus on what you wish to fulfill in your creative entrepreneurial life, as well as an intensification of the potential for pregnancy, fertility, and conception of new children or businesses during this time. Anything else I want to tell you? I'm pondering it. Give me a minute. Maybe not, but I would say the quality of the moon matters as well, right? So this is, there are all these lunation phases, right, that we have, categorically. And this is a part of the brain come back online. Yeah, 0 would be the first quarter moon. It's a first quarter moon. It's almost finishing up, but it's still a first quarter moon at the time of the ingress. So let's just put it this way. We have a first quarter moon, and you want to push through some new beginning, some new sprouts of something fresh and new into the world that is in your creative, artistic, and childbearing procreativity house. A moon here for some Aries means conception, but what are you conceiving? A book, a creative project, a business, or a baby? Some of you Aries are looking squarely at that, especially the Aries moon and especially the Aries rising. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, it looks like you're going to be having in this Aries ingress this time around a yearning for your true home. Is it a far off land or shore? Do you need to move to another country? Or are you coming to a homecoming within your soul as you discover a more authentic and true part of you that's beyond this personality? On the other hand, Chiron here with this North Node has been maybe helping you to heal this wound around your addictions. And if you have any self-undoing around addictions or self-undoing around self-sabotaging habits or patterns, there is a desire here with this new beginning, this fresh start of illumination, to remedy the problem by letting go of work and health matters that are draining you, basically, so that you can become more whole around your addictions or self-undoing issues. Certainly with Mars, the god of the scissors, in your 10th house of career, owning the domain of the ingress. This ingress opens up new work and career opportunities from foreign lands, foreign shores, revenue from foreign lands and foreign shores, passionate directional changes in your career that bring you greater wealth and power. And also with the sun here, purposeful wealth and power. You want career to be purposeful and meaningful. As well, you have chaos in your 3rd house. Maybe a year. a March solar year of chaos in matters to do with your younger sibling or aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews, the neighborhood and neighbors, and things you're doing in your online world, including social media platforms, or some chaos regarding travel opportunities or skills-based learning situations. Unpredictable, chaotic energy can prevail over the course of the year, March to March. With the moon becoming full in your fourth house, there is a sense here that you would like, not full, moon as a first quarter moon, opening up an opportunity for something fresh and something new in your life. New home. You're going to have a new home. Moon is the nest in the home. A lot of Taurus sun, moon, and rising are looking at a new home in the 12 months that follow March of this year to March of next year. There's a kind of way to time this, but I don't have time to do it. But for a lot of you, the new home looks kind of like it's a July opportunity for a new home as a result of the solar ingress. I could have done that for everybody, and I might do that with the moon bit going forward. Alrighty, let's keep moving. It's okay to quit your job, by the way. Mars says power in quitting, power in ending. That's okay. So some of you may quit a career path or a job in order to go deeper into your soul and find a more truer direction for your work and career. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. This is you. You have the solar ingress with a need to come home to your true groups of friendships, involve yourself with new groups of belonging, new tribes of affiliations that are on purpose with where you are, that heal a sense of not belonging that you've been dealing with, because maybe you're hanging out with people who like to party and drink and you're sober. Maybe you like to hang out with spiritual people, but they're all like really fundamentally very materialistic. So a lot of Geminis are looking for that new tribe, and the next year can help you find the homecoming to a new tribe of belonging, as well as to move your career path and the gains from it towards something that's much more purposeful, as well as destined change. So you will be finding that no matter what with that North Node on this solar ingress. You also may find there's a little bit of chaos in your earnings because of chaos here. That doesn't mean it's terrible. It means there could be some unexpected random changes and directional shifts in your earnings and money and resources in March of this year till next year. Mars wants, as the ruler of the solar ingress this time around, to really help you move your energy towards something to do with foreign countries, foreign travel, pilgrimages. Funny enough, I'm going on a pilgrimage and I'm a progressed Gemini sun to the El Camino, and maybe things as well to do with authentic dharmic alignment. You know, where are you going to find your true calling and your true purpose? And Mars is going to try to help you do that. On the other hand, book publishing, legal matters, court cases, travel, pilgrimages, third marriages are all on your radar as you make executive commanding Mars and Pluto changes to those areas of your life as needed. The moon itself, of course, is a new beginning as a first quarter moon. And the first quarter moon is what new beginning, what sprout must shoot up in your house of writing. And so perhaps some of us, I'm a Gemini sun, I want to write my deep code astrology book. Gemini rising, you might want to make some changes in the house of writing, new beginnings. You might want to make changes, all of us, in the house of our neighbors or neighborhood, change of neighborhood. You might want to make changes as well in the way you approach your online social media and website life, or lots of new beginnings through travel that must sprout some new directions in your life as well when it comes to particularly those greater gains from your career. One element of the 11th house are the rewards and perks and gains from the career. And some of those changes may happen through a new beginning in the way you approach your online social media life, your travel plans, or your outreach to your local audience. You know, you may also have a new beginning in a relationship with a sibling who is younger than you. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky is opening up in this story, a new beginning every year. Here we go again, but now with the North Node, not since 1994, 95, 96. A new beginning in your career. some new opening, some new direction might want to happen that's destined, that's more on purpose for you because of Chiron and a sense of homecoming to that new beginning. With a moon in the second house of earnings as a new moon flowing, not a new moon, as a first quarter moon, you're pushing to make new money earnings in the next year, March to March, from a more authentic, purposeful, coming home to yourself career direction. But at the same time you're doing that, you're taking your attention away from your domestic and private life, the people you live with, and your home. And some of you may even be changing your nest and changing your home over the next year. Mars is the lord of the story in the house of money you share with your spouse or significant others, chunky money from tax rebates and investments in the markets. And Mars is making changes up there for sure. Even inheritance monies with Pluto here can come through for some of you, Cancer rising, Sun and Moon folk. Mars also is saying in a sort of way, let me help you get on purpose with your career so that you can make more long-range financial success stories happen. And that could be something that a lot of Cancers can focus on in the next year as well. You are chaotic. You have some chaos in you. You are like erratic, unpredictable. You are going in, unpredictable zigzag directions that seem chaotic. So you have a quality of chaos within yourself, but sometimes chaos is fertile and it creates incredible new things, right? Chaos theory. And also like the butterfly's wings flap in the desert and a storm happens in Hawaii or something. So you have like a kind of chaos magic about you as you kind of wildly spin around into new directions. But it does mean that sometimes the chaos is at odds with this new pull towards more money and career. So look for your own inner chaos to be a bit of a challenge. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign in the sky. What we have going on here is a solar ingress into your ninth house with the North Node and the homecoming asteroid as well. How are you wishing to come home to a true relationship with a father figure, to a connection to a true academic or university college curriculum, to come home to a better sense of what is just and true in your legal matters, or to your book publishing hopes and dreams, or coming home to a true sense of what you wish to accomplish in this life that is meaningful and dharmic and on alignment. And as that happens, you're focused a lot on those big, lofty questions and answers. Some of you may find that this is a year in which you do some significant travel to far off foreign shores from the place of your birth. And maybe you even feel at home when you travel to those places. Because you have Mars in the seventh house, there may be some cutting, ending, and severing in a significant relationship, or separation and time apart from a significant marriage type partner because you are busy traveling. But legal battles and legal matters may happen, but you should be prevailing during this time of the next year regarding legal contracts and agreements with anyone, but also including marriage type partners. Now, some of you may exit a relationship and have a dramatic end to a significant long-term love relationship as a result of this sky. But it also allows you to come back home to your truer calling and purpose and sense of self. With the moon as a first quarter moon in your first house of self, you are starting new. You are pushing out from below the surface like a spring shoot to find a new you in this world. And it takes some effort. It's like getting that cold packed ground to break through. So you have to break through to a new sense of who you are in this world. What are you here for? What is your truest purpose? And some of that breakthrough comes because you managed to let go or end a major client, business partnership, or significant other relationship, or it let go of you. The chaos is in your inner life. Chaos is squaring this deeper dharmic movement, but you can have chaotic foreign land travel, or chaos or unpredictability in your inner psyche. What you're doing in your downtime, private life as well, can be rather chaotic in the year ahead. Certainly this chaos asteroid is influencing what it is you're trying to achieve by starting into a new career path, perhaps, or direction in academics. So watch for your own self-sabotaging patterns and habits. It can be rather chaotic and interrupting the good things that are happening here. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, this is definitely the look of you moving into a solar year where the focus is on what you want to do to come more home to homecoming asteroid, home to some of the deeper psychological truths of your own identity, with a new moon sprouting. I mean, a first quarter moon sprouting the house of addictions. It looks like a lot of Virgos are going to let go of an addictive self-sabotaging pattern, especially with Mars in the sixth house. So a chunk of you are letting go of those self-defeating patterns, psychological and emotional habits and patterns, even psychological problems like anxiety, depression, or addiction. A lot of you are letting go of those kinds of things and able to overcome them this March to next March. However, money can be also a matter of inheritance monies or shared monies with a spouse or partner that allow you to eliminate debt or to improve your finances significantly in this Ingress chart. I like the fact that you're also moving a lot of your energy toward the eighth house, where you're going to be destined to focus more on how money makes money, rely on other people's money, and spend a lot less time, like your retirement monies or investment monies, in the mode of hustle. There's a little chaos in your friendship groups and circles that is kind of going against the grain of what's trying to happen in this chart. And so you might look for how chaotic elements in your larger groups of friendships and circles of belonging can, or even colleagues and coworkers, can sometimes look like it's disturbing this movement towards psychological healing and addiction removal, as well as greater financial solvency as you apply expert wisdom and guidance, Chiron, to increasing your 401k and your longer range monies. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. This energy is going to be a solar ingress, as every year it happens in the house of relationship, and it bakes into your life over the next year the following relationship narratives. One, you're going to be focused a lot on really expanding an existing love, business, or client relationship to its maximum, to feel like you're coming home to the way you interact with marriage partners, business partners, and clients in an authentic, meaningful way. But Chiron here can bring you a Chiron person in the next March to March, along with one who is going to be extremely useful for you in the way you wish to, right? Break into new ground when it comes to your social groups of belonging, your chosen tribe, and the way you manifest some greater gains from your career. Well, at the same time, some career elements will be chaotic and unpredictable. The moon is trying to enhance the career gains despite the chaos. And by partnering with others in business, or really addressing the clients that feel like you're at home with them, you're going to find that is going to increase the success in your career gains. But you might have to feel like you're pushing through to break some new ground here. It's something fresh and new that requires persistence and energy to break through. Now, you might find with Mars in your fifth house, that Mr. Scissors is going to cut, sever, and an entrepreneurial or creative project that you normally would push out to a marketplace or audience, or end a romantic relationship, particularly one that's committed. Certainly, as a Libra with a transiting North Node through your seventh house, any existing committed relationships are asking to expand or grow or die. And a lot of change can happen. And Mars is cutting in the house of sexual romantic love. Some people will find this year results in a termination of a long-term love relationship. And Mars can also say some time separated from a friend, not a friend, a child. Maybe they're going off to school or something. And that Mars ingress chart can suggest maybe a child is going away or separating from you, and there may be time apart in the next year because they're moving out of the house or going off to school or something like that. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Hey, solar ingress every year. This one's in your natal sixth house. This is the work and health, as it always is, in the same place every year. So it's a different flavor every year that the solar new year begins in your sixth house of the work, the pets, the workaday routines, the colleagues, co-workers, rentals, penance, tendencies, animals that you bring home to love. It looks like a lot of you may bake in a vibe over the next year as a Scorpio sun, moon, and rising of moving and changing your home in a powerful and dramatic way. Maybe renting out a home, renting a new home, bringing a powerful new pet into the home, or finding that your work is changing as well as your home at the same time. You're looking for true calling, for true work, North Node, Chiron, that feels like a homecoming. You want to come home to yourself in the work you're here to do in this world. And that is extending into your 10th house of visible reputation and career, where you're pushing through to new levels of exposure and success, to be popular, appealing, and seen by the masses, or just to experience a sense of good homecoming and expansion into your career space, like your home in your career and workspace, and you're at home in that element of your work and life, your dharmic life. I mean, your dharmic life, your artha life, your work and career stuff. Now, honestly, then with this chaos element in the 9th house, chaos with father figures, chaos with academics, chaos with legal matters, chaos with foreign travel, keeps showing up against the backdrop of this solar year of March to March. And so just expect it to be there. But at the same time, some of that chaos can look like it may support you in some ways through some friction, right? Through friction to make some expansion gains in the work and health matters of your life. Chaos in the 9th house. If any Scorpios are thinking of foreign land travel or going back to higher education or engaging in higher education, expect some random, non-random, chaotic chaos magic in that part of the chart in the next year. But that chaos is perhaps something exactly what is the doctor ordered, so to speak. According to this chart, you could benefit from a little chaos there and unpredictability. I mean, an example would be you're applying for one university and they say yes, but then they change their mind, but a better one shows up, but it's chaotic, but it could benefit you. Because whatever this is, it could even be professional education, is expanding you and pushing you into viable new directions of success in your career and work. Alrighty. If you are a Sagittarius sun, moon, and rising sign, the energy of the sky is opening a doorway. Is my mic on? It's not on. It should be on. I think my mic is not charged or something's not turned on. That means I'm going to have a real echo in my. There's no power? Well, my laptop's charging. Let me check. Now I think, okay, to check about whether there's power. Is power. The mic should work. That is so weird, guys. Let me just stop the share. Now it's a little bit late, right? And see what's going on with microphone land because it doesn't have a light on it for some reason. It defaulted to my MacBook Air for no reason. Never had that happen in a video before. So you're getting a really bad sound quality for all of you guys. I do apologize. I hope that wasn't there yesterday too. All right. That I've never seen happen before. What is going on? I'm not even going to stop the recording. I'm just going to try to fix it. Now it's on. Failure to connect to the laptop port. Yeti. Okay, sorry. Everyone's got really crappy sound on that second half of my video. I hope it was all hooked up yesterday on the right side. Like, really? Seriously? Okay, where was I? Please go check the eclipse video that came out a couple of days ago. I'm recording this on Saturday the 16th for my Patreon community. You guys are getting it on Sunday. I am definitely a little bit behind these days. It's turning sunny and beautiful here in Vancouver, and all I want to do is go out and play. I want to go out and play. All right. March the 21st. Yeah, I'm here. Okay. So what sign was I on? Yeah, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Sorry about that, guys. That's going to be really echoey sound. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, especially if you're in the premiere. So the North Node is a co-present here, expanding love, romance, sexuality, with destined lovers and love partners, creativity and artistic projects, as well as things to do with your entrepreneurial endeavors, and fertility and pregnancy and children are on the radar over the next year. Now, this happens here every year, but the North Node makes it more faded. Chiron says, is it purposeful? Are you healing a sexual romantic wound? Are you healing a love wound? It's time to do it. You're going to come home to love, come home to pleasure, come home to play, come home to joy, come home to your soul. What turns you on and lights you up? And that's a big question and answer for you guys, and it's going to be revealed to you this year. Because you have a first quarter moon pushing up new sprouts of growth in the ninth house. Some of this ninth house energy leads to grandchildren. Some of the ninth house energy leads to a increase of goodness that requires effort with foreign shores travel, book publishing, courts and legal matters, and third marriages to push into new territory in the next year. At the same time, Mars, as the Lord of this storyline, is at the late degrees of Aquarius in your third house. He may cut, end, and sever connections with neighbors, neighborhoods, and things to do with your siblings, especially younger. Maybe make changes in your social media land. Your writing projects are changing dramatically, and maybe even skills-based learnings are coming to an end. There is some chaos here in your eighth house, and therefore watch very carefully for your long-range monies and chunky money, that you may have some challenges with your investments, your inheritance monies, your 401k, or with money as it applies to romantic love and shared resources, or money you share and resource for your children. That can be unpredictable and chaotic in the year ahead. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. The solar ingress for the March to March is talking about home, property, land, and real estate, nest, and mother issues. Because we have Chiron North Node here, making it relatively unusual, you're really looking for your true home, and you're desperately seeking home. But also, big healing in mother relationships or childhood wounds can happen for most Capricorns over the next year. With also homecoming here, this makes it even more about migratory bird looking for its true home or coming back to its nest. And that light of the sun here is trying to show you where that is possible this year, March to March. Because there's a new moon, a first quarter moon pushing up beneath the soil of reality in your chunky money house, there's definitely some focus on real estate and money, savings and money, investments in real estate, buying and selling of money is all in the energy, buying and selling of property, re-nesting yourself by harnessing financial gain in your longer range 401k or investments to re-nest and rehome yourself, or just for some of you, inheritance money coming through the family system, particularly from a female figure. You are looking at Mars, the ruler of the story, in your second house of earnings. He's ambitious, self-starter energy here. He spends a lot, but he also lets to make money by starting things independently. And so you may find yourself starting a new independent business direction, or you may be very driven to make money in the next year, March to March, but maybe in and from your home at first, although Rahu here can move you to a new home and sometimes to a foreign shore. Indeed, Rahu represents foreigners, and you may find your true nest in a far-off land from your place of birth. There is chaos in your marriage and relationship house. Be cautious here. There is some unpredictability your partner is experiencing, or you are with that person, and then it can bring tension in the nest as well. So watch for and try to ride the waves of that unpredictable intensity in the marriage house or significant relationships in the year ahead. Aquarius, I am one of you. This is a narrative where we're experiencing a tremendous amount of energy, of purpose and homecoming in our writing projects, in our social media land, in our relationship with younger siblings, neighbors, and neighborhood. We want to come home. Now, if it's home to a neighborhood, that's simply changing your neighborhood. You're in the wrong neighborhood with the wrong neighbors. On the other hand, if it's writing projects, we have Mercury here and pioneering new ideas that are meaningful and purposeful to heal a writing wound come through for many of us. I'll be writing Deep Code Astrology, The Wine Lover's Middle Way, and another book. So I've got a lot of writing projects, which is why I will not be seeing clients in 2024 and will be seeing very few of you in the fall. Stay tuned, be on my wait list, because I will open the doors and spots will sell out within a day. They always do. And I have very limited spots coming up this fall. Wait list is in the description box or on my website. I want to say that the energy here of Mars, the Lord of the story, is you are Martian. You are swords swinging, gallivanting, gunslinging, high noon in your mind, in your ideas, in your deportment, because you are acting very like Mars, right? You are willing to make the cuts and end things when necessary. You're willing to sever things if needed. You are commanding and making decisions in a strong and forceful way that align with what you want to achieve in that third house. Certainly expansion, Chiron, North Node, lots of travel to foreign places is possible in this year ahead for you as well. With the moon as a new beginning, in the sense it's a first quarter moon trying to shoot out, push out, bring greater light, move towards fullness, you're pushing out something new into your significant client, audience, and marketplace, business partnerships, but also marriage partnerships. It's hard work. It takes a lot of effort, but you're wanting to go full and you have to keep increasing the light there. And that there may be significant travel around a significant love relationship, or maybe significant social media expansion, changes in the way you reach out to an audience and marketplace as well. Chaos exists over here in your sixth house of health and work. Work routines and health matters can be somewhat unpredictable and chaotic. Look to digestion here. Look to your digestive system for the best growth of your healing, because that's where things are. The sign of digestion is the sign of Cancer for one of its meanings. There's some unpredictability and some chaos there. That is all. It is squaring, though, this new moon, this ingress. So it could be that travel gets in the way of your health and work routines, for example. I can see that for me because I have a gym that I don't go to because I'm always traveling. So pay attention to keeping fit through watching out for chaotic or unpredictable or unregulated stuff here. And last and always best and first and most amazing, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. So, hey guys, you have a solar movement starting a new solar season, March to March, astrological new year in your earnings house every year here. But this time, Chiron says true purpose, meaningful work, destined change. Mercury is wonderful here for selling, marketing, and merchandising, and getting your money to be more successful. And you're coming home, right? The asteroid for homecoming here, Lely Luculana, or whatever it's called. Excuse my end of day fatigue here. I've just finished with clients all day. Is that you have a desire to be meaningfully employed and earning money, and you want to come home to that in a true sense of self. At the same time, you're pushing out something new and it needs to go full, but it requires effort in the house of work. This, for many Pisces, is about right work, right livelihood, and finding that story emerging in more credibility for you this March till next March. Mars is and watch your food style. This is looking like you come home to a true food style that increases your success with your health, though it does require effort. There is, however, Mars in your 12th house as the Lord of this solar year, and he's baking in foreign shore travel and income and revenue from foreign lands and foreign shores for one of the themes that Pisces may encounter over the course of the next solar year. Yet, you can also eliminate and cut out self-undoing addictions and habits, especially given this is what you eat in the second house. And some Pisces will let go of food styles and eating habits that no longer work, but Pluto powers Mars to make those decisions capably. And you are effortlessly doing it because Mars, with his scissors, with Pluto is a non-negotiable, right? If you need to let go of bread, gluten, ice cream, or whatever substance you shouldn't be eating, this is like a death knell for that substance, for those of you who have challenges with eating too much or the wrong foods. Finally, chaos in your marriage, romance, sexuality house, or with your children. This may be your children having chaotic stories March to March, or there's chaos with regards to your entrepreneurial and creative business projects, or there's chaos with a romantic sexual love partner, or with your sexual life in general. And if there is chaos there, then just be aware of that in the next year, because it may distract you from what looks like an increase of your earnings and a focus on new ways of achieving right livelihood. Thank you for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I would deeply appreciate that. Everyone have a wonderful solar year ahead. The front end, as you know, was all about the world. The second end was a covering of each sign. Enjoy the ride. And my next video coming out will be on the week ahead on Monday, and then probably I'll dive into the Mars ingress on the 23rd of March into the sign of Pisces. So stay tuned for those upcoming videos. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and hit my notification bell.